Hello and welcome back to the channel. You joined me on the 31st of December 2024. So this is the last day of 2024 moving into 2025. And if I haven't already, Happy New Year to everybody. So I'm currently in the room. I'll flip the camera around in a second, sort of show you what my mindset is and what I'm trying to do. Haven't done any filming in an age. I've not been well. I've got a cyst on my chest here that's become infected, so I'm currently on antibiotics, which are lovely, but just health-wise in general, not brilliant. But enough of that. I want to sort of flip round and sort of show you what I'm currently doing and what I'm working on and what I'm thinking of and my mindset as to why to film this. So I'm having a bit of a clean up and a bit of a tidy up, and while I was doing that, I noticed that the GHKH, there must be humidity in here. They've turned into a brick. So those are sort of scrap, can't really sell those. And on the subject of that, I've got a box full here of best before date ends, another box full. And I've really sort of thought about, do I just shut the business? I'm sick of stuff going to waste. I mean, it won't go to waste. I'll use it, but how much, can you use? There's loads of it here. It is on the website, a knockdown price. But I suppose with that, it's like, you use it or lose it. If you buy from GB Shrimp, buy from us, because if you don't, the business will go. Enough of that anyway. I've obviously got a couple of tubs here. I've got some pistos in this tub. And then I've got my snail tub now. I want to move the snail tub. The plan is that I'm going to measure the distance between there and there, and I might tip it sideways, might turn it sideways. So instead of being that way, it's that way, because I'm sick of having the green neos, which are down here, out of sight, and I really want them sort of back up where I can see them. If I can't fit that little tank in sideways here, by moving that around, then what I may do is look at actually moving those green neos into this snail tank and doing a bit of a cull on some of the blue ram's horns. Ideally, I think the apple snails, or the mystery snails, should I say, would have been better on their own. So what I could potentially do with those, and I'm conscious that they can come out of water, is I can potentially move those into that tank, but they will eat all the plants. And just a general sort of tidy up and move stuff around and put stuff away. The room's a bit of a mess, if I'm honest. Unfortunately, moving that tank sideways was a definite no-no. So the only other option I've got really is to put that small tank on the draining board of the sink, which I'm not a fan of. So I need to sort of have a bit of a rethink and see what I'm going to do there. I emptied water out, I'm just putting it back in. So while that tank's filling up, I'll just sit and watch my shrimp for a bit and think about what I can do and how I can sort of move things around to move that tank in. I will find a solution. It's just how. I did notice yesterday as well that my pandas were a couple of babies in here. Any of you guys can see that one there? Doesn't focus very well. I've noticed a couple. There's one there as well. And where there's two, there's probably 20. So I've only noticed a couple. There's something, although that looks like a steel. There's a little one there. But they'll be in there. And this is where algae on the walls comes in real handy. So I've noticed one over this side, but I've also noticed where's it gone? So the algae is still brown in here, which isn't great. There's one. And they'll hover around the filters as well. Still a mess. I haven't tidied up the rest of this, but I've ended up putting that tank up here, give it a bit of a clean, well, the two outside walls, and these are my green jades. But I think what I'm going to do is probably work through them and move them. I'll have a bit of a play in this tank and move some of the snails out. But I think I'm going to actually move the green jades into this tank, or rescape this tank and do something with it. But for now, it's on the draining board. Not the ideal scenario, but it is what it is, and at least it's off the deck. And now I've moved my water bottle over there, so that's out the way as well. I told you I'd find a solution to this tank issue on the worktop. Let me flip the camera and show you what I mean. I was never a fan of having this small tank on top of the draining board. I like this area clear, and it probably isn't doing the draining board any good. So I had to think about it. I think what I'm going to do is strip this tank down and probably move the sand, the rock, the rabbit snails and the ram's horn snails into this tub with the guppies. I do need to put a heater in these, they're quite cold. Then what I'll do is I'll set up another tub that will fit here, and I'm going to change it to a sand bottom. But what I will do is I'll move the shrimping, so the green jades will go into that tub. I'll do a bit of a, not escape as such, but I'll do a sand and a few bits and pieces and maybe some moss and stuff like that. There are a lot of seed shrimp in here, which is why I'm sort of keen to clear that out, and I won't reuse the filter in case I transfer any seed shrimp. But the plan will be then that the jades will go into another tub here, and along with the mystery snails. So the reason that I separated the mystery snails from the guppies, because when the antennae were out, the guppies kept pecking at them. So I'm going to keep them with the green jade shrimp in another tub here. So bit of work to do. Let's crack on and we'll pick up halfway through. So operation set the next tub up and empty that tank has happened. And what I've done is I've moved a load of rock into the guppies and some of the snails. The rest of the snails are in the sand. Let me show you that. And this sand is going to go back in that guppy tank, just because there's loads of snails through it. So what I'll probably do is scoop as much out into a jug, position that where I want to, and then just wash the last bit in. And this is where the little 70p jugs from Morrison's really come in handy. So I'm just going to finally show you this once. This is how I move sand about so as not to make too much mess. So I literally just lower it in and then pour it, and once it's underwater it almost becomes liquid, so to speak. I mean, you will get a bit of cloudiness, but not massive amounts. And then any snails and stuff that are in there will come down with it, and I'll just repeat that process until I've got them all in. So first one done. It is a little bit cloudy. I've dropped a heater in there for now because the temp felt a little bit low. And then what I'll do is I'll probably do a big water change on this. I'm only going to use tap water, dechlorinated tap water, because they can sort of tolerate a bit of hard water. But and likewise with the other one that I'm going to move the shrimp into. The middle one here is soft water though, so that doesn't have tap water, that has remineralized RO. So having a quick look around the room as to what to use as a substrate in this new, where I'm going to move the green jades to. I'm a fan of using things that are open. So let me flip the camera, I'll show you what I found. So I do have a bit of aquarium sand and half bag of gravel, but I've got another bag of this gravel as well. So I may sort of do a bit of sand at the front and then a bit of gravel. I want to see what it covers like first. And this is what we've ended up with. So I know that eventually they'll sort of morph into each other, and I have sort of scattered a bit of gravel over the sand. It's very thin. It's like literally a grain. Well, it's not a grain of sand, but it's a grain of gravel deep. This is 6mm pea gravel, and I think aesthetically that looks quite nice. So what I may do is put something in there. I might put some plants in pots if I can find something to pot them up in. But let's try and find some decor for this tub now. And pumping the water in so as not to disturb the sand and the gravel. I am going to put some rock or ornament in here. Even though I'm going to use a double sponge from out of one of these tanks, I am still going to put a sprinkling of bacterial powder in here. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to give it a bit of a tap round, just to sort of get the bacteria building up on the sand and the gravel, really. So I'm just using up again what I've got sort of open. So I'm using Biobacter. There's only a little bit left. It's probably severely out of date. So 2023 is the date on that, but it's still good in my opinion. Well, it still works is probably a better explanation. So I ended up finding a piece of dragonstone, and I've moved across a little bit of cuttlebone, the green with algae on there. Filters in, sands down. I've moved about, well, I know exactly how many I've moved. I've moved 38 shrimp across at the moment, and there's still plenty left, but I'm having to be really cautious because, as you can see, there's a bad seed shrimp explosion in there, and I rarely feed this tank, so I'm quite surprised about that seed shrimp explosion. But it is what it is. I'll keep catching, dropping them over. I've probably had enough for tonight. So the reason I wanted to use the tub was because I can put a lid on this, and I've left a bit of a gap at the top in case the mysteries decide that they want to sort of pop out and lay some eggs, and we'll see how that goes. So I have got everything in here. They're all taking refuge on the sponge, I believe, but I'm just dripping over the last lot of jades. So I have taken a couple out and put them in with the guppies, so I'm using that as a coal tank.